Riley Show. I'm your host, Dr. Anissa Riley.
They dealt with attempts of molestation, and they didn't want that for me. So in order for people not to encounter those things, you have to break silence, right? So as my parents, when I tell you every and anything, like, they made it a comfortable place for me to come and speak to them about every and anything. Like, I could not, like, there was even a point where my friends, in my older years, my friends would be like, "You gonna tell your parents that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "But they're gonna get upset." And I'm like, "Well, they're gonna know anyway." So did my parents learn anything with me? One thing, they learned that despite all the prepping, all the teaching, as I said earlier, you can't control what your children are around once they leave your space, right? And as mentioned, I ended up going to public school, and you said bad boy, right? So the goody two shoes, I don't know if it's...
What is that? The good girl, like going to the bad boy. Like, what is that about?
Yeah.
I heard, before you go on, I heard that it's about the confidence, the swag, the way in which they fill the room when they come in. Like,
the perception.
Yeah, the perception.
Right.
The identity.
Right, literally.
That's what I have come to learn, read about when we talk about why does the good girl always want the bad boy?
Right. So for me, unfortunately, my parents did learn that I was very much drawn to
the perception.
The perception of a bad boy. I wouldn't necessarily.
But I mean, society calls them the bad boys.
It was more like, when I go back and look at, it was their confidence, because
that's what I'm saying. The confidence that they exude. It's the way in which they show up in places and spaces. Their personality is so big.
Right. So because I don't think I grew up teenagery. I was in the days of like Onyx and stuff like that. Like Sticky Fingers was not going to step to me, and I was going to be like, "Yeah, boy, let's do this." No. It was. I was.
What about METH? Only something.
I mean.
Method. Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you method. Yeah. I'm married. You're married. We're married.
We're married.
He's married.
Right. We digress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah, if Method Man, but I don't. Anyway.
Well, you saw this bad boy. You in public school, and your mom and parents,
Yeah. So, essentially, my parents learned that I wasn't listening to everything that they were saying. Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you stop there. Like,
I mean, this was after junior high school. Like,
okay, well, so the Bible says, y'all know I'm a Jesus girl, so I got to bring in the Bible some type of way, right? So the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when they old, they won't depart from it.
I mean, that's very true.
So now we are out of junior high school. You said you left. You can't really control what your children are doing when they're not in your sight. So I'm listening. I wish I had some tea. I ain't got no tea, so I'm gonna drink some fake tea.
I can't with you.
What's the tea?
So the tea is in high school. I was attracted to a very confident individual. My mother learned that, I guess I wasn't a goody two-shoe no more. And that confident individual broke my heart. I had another encounter with my mother. Literally, she was just like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? And then I remember specifically, she was just like, you think he at home crying? You think he upset? He don't care. He's doing all what, like, get yourself together. And my mother was very good at that. Like, bring it in, bring it in, wrap it up, bring it in, like, get it together. Go back to school the next day, So I put on a front a little bit, and then I met another person who was perceived to be very confident. And actually, it's one of my very good friends. It's her fault. But I started dating him because because she was dating his friend. I didn't really have any, he's sweet, kind, whatever, but I didn't really have any interest in him like that. But, you know.
Let me say this. First of all, I mean, for those of you who are wondering what we're laughing at, it's none of your business. But, we have these labels, goody two-shoes, identity. You're identified as a goody two-shoes, right? What does that mean? You're identified as a bad boy. Okay, what does that mean? And then because you just said, I wasn't found out to be a goody two-shoes. For real, like, well, what does that mean, right? You were evolving, you were coming into yourself, you were in places and spaces that provided you with information that challenged who you thought you were or thought you liked, right? And now what do you do with that information? Most of us, when they say don't walk on the grass, what you do?
You walk on the grass.
You walk on the grass. Most of us, when they say don't touch it, what do?
Touch it.
You touch it. My husband, he don't touch it. He just be mad at me. I'm still like at this age. And I'll be like, why can't I touch it? What's it going to do, right? But I say all that to say the natural curiosity of the human being is what I believe and I would say is what happened, right?
Okay.
It was the natural curiosity. Like, you open up a Pandora's box. You're like, what's that? That's different.
Right.
So now you get yourself together and you with your friends and like, okay, because you can't leave your friends. You can't leave your girlfriend. Just, you gotta be.
No, I left my girlfriends.
Go ahead. So go ahead. Because most of us gotta understand that.
Yeah, I left my girlfriends. My girlfriends were still goody two-shoes.
No, they were making different choices than you were.
Okay, yes, that's a good way of putting it. Yes, they were making
different choices. And the reason why I say different choices.
Okay.
We're going to make different choices. And the reason why I like that, I say that because if we get into this absolute of good and bad, then your identity starts to attach to, oh, I'm good or I'm bad. And there's no one good and there's no one bad. It's all your choices. Right? Jesus, girl, the only one that's good is
Jesus.
God and Jesus, right? And we all are just learning how to make choices.
Right.
So some people make choices that align with directions that'll lead them in a straight path.
Right.
And some people are going to make some decisions that's going to send them in a loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop-de path, right? Right? So it all depends on your path. So your girlfriend were making choices that kept them going in this straight path, and you made some choices that took you on a crooked path.
Yeah.
So ain't good or bad. You just was on a crooked path, like.
Okay.
And then that's why there's always the U-turn on the road.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
So let's talk about that. So you were on this crooked path. You were with an individual who broke your heart, and your mom said, get over it, and then you got with another one. Is that what you were?
Yeah, but that one didn't necessarily break my heart.
This perceived one.
That one, the perceived one, as he didn't necessarily break my heart, but he is part of the reason why I have an older daughter. So
Part of the reason?
oh yeah.
That's like saying I'm partly pregnant. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but he's the reason why I have a, well, I say partly because, again, choice. Like, I made the choice to,
No, I don't know.
I made the choice to have extracurricular activities.
Yes, sex. Premarital, unmarried sex. We all adults here. This is an evening show. The kids supposed to be in the bed. If they not, oh well, this ain't the first time they heard about it.
And yes, my eldest daughter came about, and that was what my parents learned. Like they knew, but it was just like, that's really what we gonna do here, like for real. And I remember telling, because again, that still is ingrained in me. So when I found out, like literally my mother found out in like 2.2 seconds, because my cycle was very regular, 28 days. I would wake up, go use the bathroom, oh, there you are, 28 days, woke up.
Oh no, you're not there.
Yeah, you're not there. So I was just like, oh, okay, that's different. I'm like, all right. And I remember, now I'm in college, and I remember going and calling my mom, and she was just, I don't know what it was, but she picked up the phone and she said, what happened, you're pregnant? And I was just like, oh, was that call ID? I don't even know if she knew it was it call ID?
Child, I don't know.
In that time? But
It was archaic time.
But anyhow, I just know that literally it was no hi, afternoon, how's your day, nothing. She just picked up the phone. I said, hi, Mom. And then she was just like, you're pregnant? And I was just like, oh. I said, yeah. She said, all right, well, make sure you tell your father. And I was just like, you can't tell him? She said, I'm not the one that's pregnant. So I was just like, all right. So she said, so what are you going to do now? Because I'm in college. It's in October, and like school year just started. So then I was just like, well, I guess, I don't know. She said, how don't you know? Like when I tell you, she was very like, she was like, how don't you know? You didn't know what you was doing when you were doing? So then I was just like, all right. So I guess I'll speak to you later. And she said, all right. And we got off the phone. And I was so disappointed because I knew that was a disappointment for her. And for her to say, you have to tell your father, whoa, child, because I was a daddy's girl. And daddy didn't like the person that impregnated me anyway.
We'll call him Bob.
Yeah, so but daddy wasn't feeling Bob at all. And for the same reasons that Bob and I didn't work out, right? So there's that. And then, and also the whole perception, right? So I come from a family where my cousins are and have been extremely successful.
By the world standards.
Okay, yes, by the world standards. And at the time, from a family standard, because the family that I come from, like I said, a lot of people worked for themselves, made good names for themselves, whether it was, working in government or whatever the case is. Perception, a majority of them made good money. And at that time, that's what that was, right? Like, if you make money...
Middle class, upper middle class.
Right, upper middle class, you good to go, you own your house. Not only do you own your house, but you own other properties as well.
So there were standards that were set in your family that were attached to your identity. And so if you reached these particular family standards, then your identity was ingrained and solidified within how the family was moving and progressing.
Exactly.
And then TREZURE,
whose name is TREZURE,
has gets pregnant out of wedlock and has yet, or have you reached these standards yet? Have you been on the path that the family has crafted? And
it's funny that you said, was I on the path? Yes, definitely I was on the path.
so you were on the crooked path that was going to the path.
Right.
But it just was crooked.
Right.
Going through the forest.
Right.
Cutting down the trees.
Right. But yeah, I was on the path towards, like, you can tell me nothing. Like, what, 17, 18, 19, you could not tell me I was not going to be this big time,
meeting your family standards.
Yeah, owning my multiple properties, having different homes. Like, you can tell me I wasn't going to be wealthy. You could not tell me that. And there was a timeline in my head as well. So again, coming from a place of these standards, for someone to get pregnant and at 18 and give birth at 19, it was just like, dang, am I gonna make it? You know what I mean?
So something different happened again that caused a shift, a rift in who you identified yourself to be based on family standards.
Yeah.
So something different happened. Boom. Okay, so now.
And like I said, it was October. I'm in school. I'm away at school, and I'm coming. The way that my parents were set up, I didn't even know if I was gonna be allowed to come home. I did not tell my father. I did not speak to my father. Like I said, daddy's girl, and he was like, oh God. I never told him because to disappoint him was different than disappointing my mom. My mom's disappointment was like, all right, cool, we're gonna move forward, blah, blah, blah. But my dad, whoo, child, that was different. When I came home from school, honestly, there was points where I was literally trying to figure it out. Like, how do I now get a job? Oh, that was another thing. So when I went away to school, it was like, okay, this is money that has been saved up for you. I don't want you to work. I only want you to focus on your studies, right? So there were other people, again, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be wealthy, right? So there were other people that had, what's the thing?
Co-op. The co-op program where they had, or it's financial aid.
Right, financial aid and student loans, and
Student
those
work
kind
study,
of work
work
study.
study.
All of those kind of things, and I didn't have those experiences. Like, I have those experiences. So I'm just like, dang, here I am. Y'all set me up to go to school, and I'm in a good space, and I'm here essentially disappointing you guys, right? Anyhow, and they're Caribbean people, and they just always gave me that, oh, we don't play that.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Yeah, so we talked about, your father being disappointed in a decision that you made. We talked about, it's choices that really determine the path that you're going to go on. My own opinion is that there is no one inherently good or inherently bad. It's just choices that you make that will lead you in a direction that becomes whatever you choose as the outcome. So you didn't want to disappoint your father.
No.
So you didn't tell him. However, you had this open relationship with your parents.
Yes, both of them.
Right. But you didn't want to tell your father. Why do you think that is?
Because I felt like, although there's always been an open relationship with, and I could come to them and speak to them about every and anything, it was just like, it was so many layers. I think most because he's said time and time again, not that one. Like, he's literally, at one point, he's even said, I'd prefer for you to date a certain type of person before you date that person.
Before you date Bob.
Yes. And every reason why he said to me not to date that person is literally in front of him. Like, he didn't necessarily say it, but he did. He alluded to Bob being not worthy of his daughter, right? And my father showed a great example of what I think is an Ephesians 5 man, what I think is a Proverbs 31 man, like affectionate, loving, like even to this day, however old I am, I'm in my 40s, and even to this day, like, if no one else would be there for me, I could go to my dad. And it's not on some, I'm taking advantage of him or anything like that, because there are times he will ask me, how you doing? Is everything okay? Da, 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 da. And like I said, open relationship, still now to this day, open relationship. But I just, like, he's my ace. Like, when I tell you he has gone to bat for me when I didn't even expect him to, that's a good one. Like, even being pregnant, I never went to him. I didn't tell him. I moved back home, and I was just like, oh, I gotta make sure that I do everything right, because he's already pissed off or disappointed. I learned later on that it was more hurt than pissed off, right? He didn't speak to me, like my entire pregnancy, did not speak to me. And he didn't speak to me until my daughter was 2 years old. Was it 2 years old? Yeah. Was it 2 years old?
However.
Whatever, it was a long time. It was years with an S, like during the pregnancy, and then, yes, her being an infant, he didn't speak to me, and I'm in his house, right? And like I said, West Indian, I don't know, it might be different for different people, but there was a standard, right? Good morning, daddy. Good morning, mommy. Oh, I'm going to bed. This is where I'm traveling. Like those kind of things. And
let me pause you there because there's something that I want to capture. You talked about the standard, and you talked about your natural father having a standard, giving you a word about a situation, and unfortunately you didn't heed the word. You found yourself in this predicament, coming back home, but you had a dad there. And most people say, you know, absentee fathers in the home are the reason why young ladies are doing the things that they're doing, but you are defying that statistic, that research, by being different. So what do you say to those women, to those individuals, and even males who may not have their fathers in their home? What do you say to them so that they will, or what word will you give to them that they can find themselves in a situation where you are now, where you're like, all that's behind me and I'm free? Like, what could you offer them?
That's a tough question. I honestly, I don't know. I don't know what I would, I don't know what I would say.
There is hope.
Share your thoughts.
Talk to us.
Be a lifeline.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
You are not alone.
Because even in that situation, that was what broke me specifically internally. Like, oh shoot, I'm a statistic, right? Like, I spoke earlier about my very good friend that caused me to...
No, you're on your own choice. Your choices. But let me say this. As much as you have this open relationship with your parents, your parents are still natural. Your parents are still humans. Your parents still have feelings. Your parents did the best that they could. And even in that, you know, you got to this place. So my question is, well, if you don't know exactly what to say, how are you at this place now after your natural father didn't even speak to you for 2 years? Like, how are you at this place?
How am I at this place now, like right now?
Yeah, like right now, when
like,
we sit here and we like laughing it up, chopping it up, and you like, I'm free, all that's behind me. I mean, because for some of us, if our natural fathers didn't speak to us for 2 years after I am a self-proclaimed daddy's girl, like some people, would have been crushed. Some people would still be that 19-year-old, 25 years later, 30 years later, talking about daddy disappointed in me. Like,
I think because, I know for a fact, like I said, he would go to bat for me even until now. And when I was pregnant, he showed me that although I'm not speaking to you, although I'm hurt and disappointed, I still am here and will fully protect you.
But let me stop you there, because something you told my producers was that once you came in contact with your spiritual father, God, right, is when you really became free.
Okay.
And so if I ask you the difference between your natural dad and your spiritual dad, do you think there was any correlation or connection or anything different between the two that caused you to have an identity where you're like,
No, like literally my natural father protected me, and I learned that my spiritual father will always be there to protect me, go to bat, no matter how, no matter how much I might disappoint him. Speaking about my spiritual father, because he has openly given choice, but at the same time, he has always said, although you might upset me or disappoint me, I still love you. Although you might make choices that are against the path that I have for you, I still love you.
And is he going to talk to you, or he going to be silent for 2 years?
Oh no, he's going to keep talking to me. He's going to keep talking to me. You trying to play my natural father?
I ain't trying to play him. I'm just trying to make a correlation between, you know, your human father who is going to, you know, be who he is regardless. But you just said something that I don't want to get lost on the viewers is that your natural father set you up to have this relationship with your spiritual father because he showed you that daddies protect and daddies do this. And for those of us who didn't grow up with our dads or our fathers, there's still a spiritual father there that will protect. And in that, you know, I saw the emotion that was coming, like, even though you mess up, because I'm still messing up, like I still make different choices, because I ain't perfect, that he's always there to protect. And so what are you doing now? Like, where can people find you?
Oh.
If somebody want to get in contact with you and be like, oh, that was me. You know, they can they resonate with your story. Like, how could they connect with you?
So I am now, by direction of my spiritual father, working on building that very same thing that you mentioned as far as counseling. Right now I'm on Instagram as @withlove_treasure, I think, right? I think so. I think that's what it is. But that's my Instagram, and like I said, I'm in the midst of building up my actual business.
The millionaire status that you know that is rightfully yours.
Yes.
All right. So if you are in this place where you feel that you may have disappointed your natural parents, or you're in this place where who you are today, your identity today, is not in alignment with what your family standards are or what you know you should be doing, then take a page out of Miss Treasure's book and understand that you too can still get back on the straight and narrow path. You don't always gotta be on the crooked path. Even though the crooked path is a path, but you can get back on the straight and narrow. And straight and narrow is the way. And so you need some assistance, you need some help, reach out to Treasure. She gave you her information. We'll have some more information on the screen if you need it. But at the end of the day, keep tuning in, because this right here is where you need to be. This is the Ask Dr. Riley Show. I'm your host, Dr. Anissa Riley. Peace out.
Hey everybody, it's yours truly, Mo, of the Ask Dr. Riley Show. And we just finished another great episode on identity. This episode is super special to me because we got to hear the story of my good sis and longtime friend, Treasure Monte Griffith, who's also known as Monte Griffith for the show. So Treasure talked about how identity is a demonstration of our character. And for as long as I've known her, which is all my life, she has always demonstrated her character through her resiliency and determination and willingness to always grow and learn from her mistakes. Treasure is known to make the best out of every situation, whether dealing with the culture shock of a new school or becoming an unexpected teen mom. Even along those crooked paths and loop-de-loops of life, she still finds her way and doesn't lose that spirit of doing all things in excellence. If she was going to be a teen mom, she was going to be the best teen mom you have ever seen. Her story is one of resiliency and redemption, and something we can all learn from. That we are not our circumstances or a societal statistic. With God, we can always bounce back from setbacks, and we can always redeem the time. I'm yours truly, Mo. This is the Ask Dr. Riley Show. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel and tune in next week for another great episode. Ciao.
The camera is excellent, but what's going to get you the picture to look the way you want it to look is lens. And I said, what do you mean? And I was, I didn't know nothing about camera. So he brought a 50 millimeter lens and he attached it, and it immediately brought the subject close. Then he brought a wide angle and it captured the whole room. And every lens that he attached did something different. Now the brain was the same, but the lens kept changing the picture. And I think you have to understand in life that what is true for that camera is true for you. And some lens you choose to pick up, some lens are attached to you. You know, if you're a divorced person and you didn't plan for that, a lens was given to you that you didn't ask for. And if you're not careful, you can now paint life with the broad brush
of the divorce lens.
Or the parent rejecting me lens, or whatever. And I think that part of winning the battle is to first identify the lens that you're viewing life through.